Hi guys, here's a nice saucy article from Kurt Schlichter over at townhall.com. Curse of the Woke Conservatives. So what does the GOP establishment do in 2018 when it comes before us dirty, nasty normals and tries to make the case that its members deserve being re-elected to Congress instead of being tarred and feathered? Well, personally I opt for the tarred and feathered, but that's another matter. After 7 years of solemn assurances, it couldn't even get its act together and keep its promise to put a stake through the heart of the abomination that is Obamacare. But hey, when Donald Trump kept his promise to undo DACA, that sure spurred the true conservatives into action. The deductibles my employee pay just went up $2,000 a year because if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor or something. Yet that sort of real-world pain for real-world people doesn't spur our righteous conservative ink stalwarts into action, but threatened to actually enforce a law Congress passed and cut the monocle and top hat set off from cheap foreign serfs who will vote hard left if given the chance. Now that's an emergency. All hands on deck of the SS conservative Titanic. Republicans, you can be proud of me. I went to Washington, left Obamacare in place, complained that Donald Trump was mean to the liberals who hate us, and started down the road to amnesty just like you wanted. And by you, I mean the Wall Street Journal editorial board, some fussy never-Trumpers on Twitter, and the GOP wonks who used to read Ayn Rand books while normal guys were kissing girls. Boy, oh boy, it must sure suck for you that we conservatives are now woke. Woke. That hilariously dopey term used by semi-literate leftists when they sort of mean aware is just too sweet a word not to confiscate and deploy on our own behalf. It perfectly describes us normals' now permanent state of agitated readiness in anticipation of the latest way the conservative creeps are going to try to shaft us. We're woke, which means we're watching, and more than that, we're acting on our wokedness. That's why Felonia von Pantsuit is busy pounding bourbon and writing books blaming Bernie and Russia instead of being busy purging that troublesome Bill of Rights of our troublesome civil rights. Bad news, losers. We're hella woke, and there's no turning back. Look, here's how you Friedicon screwed up. Well, one of the ways you screwed up anyway. You miscalculated our tolerance for failure and confused our patience with apathy. Eventually, your failure grew so great that we just had to pay attention even though we have lives and better things to do. We started watching and saw you sitting on panels, high-fiving each other about your commitment to free trade, which always seemed to turn out to be crony capitalism that shafted us normals, and tax reform, which always seems to turn out to benefit crony capitalists and shafts us normals. And budget cuts, which never seem to happen except to the military, which is populated by, and therefore the cuts hurt, us normals. Oh, we gave you chances for decades. We gave you plenty of chances not to suck, and in turn, you gave us nothing but suck. Oh, George W. Bush was a true conservative, good guy, yeah, but he brought us 2 unwon wars, only one of necessity, and compassionate conservatism. Of course, compassion always means that normal people get another rock in their ruck. Then there was John McCain, who lied to our faces on Obamacare's repeal so more Senate hacks wouldn't have to go on record doing so. And last, and arguably least, there's Mitt Romney, Mr. Thank You Candy, May I Have Another, who never misses a chance to virtue signal for the benefit of the same people who said he gave someone cancer. Oh, and their bright idea for 2016? Jeb. He was an act of love upon us normals, all right? See, we're done. We're woke and feeling about you hacks just like you feel about us. Think about that. The clock's ticking. Look at Jeff Flake. At this point, I don't even care if his opponent somewhat down the road will have to deny being a witch. In fact, his primary opponent would get up at the first debate in a sweatshirt reading Proud Hogwarts Grad, wave a wand, announce without irony that the Sorting Hat has assigned me to Hufflepuff, and I'd still send her money. Because even if she was crazy, and she's not, she seems like a very nice lady who actually believes in conservative stuff. She would still be a million times better than that backstabbing brain doofus she's running against. Heck, she's already crushing the Arizona squish into utter squishiness in the polls. Think of what she could do with some spells. The GOP establishment will never learn, partly from denial and partly because a lot of its members are kind of dumb. For example, that smarmy dope Paul Ryan, when he isn't trying to make sure foreigners are treated better than Americans, he's still pushing the moronic, you could do your taxes on a postcard hack cliche, when of course everyone knows that all those extra pages are filled with the deductions that make people who work pay less. I'll toss my taxes to my accountant and keep my home mortgage, charitable, and state tax deductions instead of losing them so big GOP donors can pocket some more dough. Thanks, though, passive Paul. Postcard taxes, sheesh, 1996 called, and it wants its total defeat back. Look, normals, we're in for the long haul here. Hopefully not one that ends violently or our divided country, which it absolutely could. Those are the stakes, and that's why we can't just walk away from this game. We can't hide, and we can't wait it out. We either get in there and win, or we lose everything. Step 1 was getting woke. Step 2 was electing Trump. Step 3 is regulating the Republicans. Slowly and surely, we're going to need to purge these punks from our team. And we can do it. Time is on our side. Eventually, Ben Sassy's going to get a show on MSNBC called You Have All Disappointed Me So Very Much. Eventually, Paul Ryan's going to leave to do infomercials for the Objective CrossFit workout DVD titled Atlas Pumped. Eventually, Lindsey Graham is going to retire and open an antique store in Alexandria and get into needless and endless price wars all over town. And eventually, we will win our struggle to restore our country and the Constitution we love. We must be patient. We must be ruthless. We must be woke. And I would add to that, we must be proactive. We know that we have a vote fraud issue in this country on many fronts. Whether it's the dead people getting voted in their name, whether it's the illegals voting, or whether it's just out and out fraud, vote rigging, vote stacking, stuffing, illegal counts, throwing ballots away, valid ballots away, the myriad of ways that the left has perfected over decades of cheating the American people at the polls. We have to go and rectify that. And speaking of polls, as I said in another video, we have to negate those polls. Our next job before the next elections should be to screw up their polls so bad that they can't count on the results. They use those polls to decide where to rig the votes next. In areas where they're not doing so good, they send in the ballot stuffers, or they send in the poll riggers, or they bus in people. We already know this. So without those polls to tell them where to fortify, they're dead. They're done. There's nothing more they can do except shake their head and go, what happened? That's our job. Our job is to take away their best vote rigging tool, polls. So next time the poll comes around, go ahead and answer it. Tell them you'll vote for whoever the establishment guy is. Doesn't matter. But when the real vote comes, when it comes time to actually cast your vote, then vote for your intended candidate. They'll be looking at the poll going, well, wait a minute, everybody, 90% everybody was going to vote for our guy. But yet he just lost by a landslide. What happened? What happened was we took your tool away from you, and you can't use it to calculate how to cheat us next time. That's my opinion, and that's what I'd like to see happen. Stump these polls. Screw them up. Make them so inaccurate that they don't dare try to use them anymore. And you'll stop the advanced poll rigging, the advanced vote rigging. That's what we have to do, guys. And then we have to catch all the rest of the voter fraud that goes along with it. That's just my opinion. And I hope everybody sees it my way, and eventually, we take the fangs out of the Democrats. Y'all have a nice day and think about that.